This is Brighton Karting, an extremely technical track where we'll be competing in their 2-hour endurance race, including a minimum of 4 stops, changing weather conditions, and absolute carnage, where we will try and bring home our first place finish. Now for this race, we entered in one team with being me and James Moss, who is an unexperienced driver, so we were trying to get the best result we could. But it would include a 40-minute practice/qualifying session and then a 2-hour endurance race. And another key thing to note down is that there were no classes and there was no weight limit for this race. So once we arrived at the circuit, we got the plan ready for the race, as well as setting up all of the communication systems we'll be using to hear each other on track, with us already stumbling into a problem when we were doing this, as I had realised that I left the comms that I charged last night at home, meaning we would have to swap our comms on our helmets towards the headset in order to hear each other, where we then went into the briefing and got ready for qualifying, where the track was nice and dry for us to set a good lap time. Now for qualifying, I actually set our fastest lap on the last lap that we did. So here it is, where you got first into a fast right hand where you would come out just about by the curb and then headed down to one of my favourite parts of the track, where you'd hit the curb on the left and try keep your karts as close as you could to the right hand side while staying flat out, opening the next corner up for a tight hairpin going into the right, going over the curb on the right and coming out on the left, where you are then into the flat out section of the track where you'd flat through this right hander, coming along here still flat out, staying flat out all the way through, braking around here into the right hander and coming around for another flat out section for the final straight of the lap, then staying on the left hand side of the track all the way to the end, hitting the right hand side as close as possible to the left as close as possible and straight out for the end of your lap time at Brighton, where after this we then funneled back into the pit lane and got ready for the race, where we qualified in P6, which we were pretty happy about, as you can see later on in the race. Lots of people were lighter than us, so they were a lot quicker on the straights. However, before we went out, we also noticed that our kart was getting topped up by some oil, which was good but bad because it realised that we could have a bad kart on our hands here. However, it was good because at least the marshals were trying to fix it somehow. And now with all of us gridded up, we were heading towards a rolling start towards the line, where we'll be held on the outside, which isn't good for the first corner, as it's very easy for lots of karts to get alongside you if one gets past you there. But as we get towards the start line, I close in on the person in front and it goes green and we get a terrible launch of the start, making us fall all the way down to behind nearly the person in 7th, where we trying to hold it off, but they get around on our inside, where we luckily have a good exit and can get past them here. And at this point, I'm already realising that our kart is so much better than in qualifying from that oil that has been put back into it. But coming into the first hairpin, we hold the inside and are able to make a position, but sadly we get overtaken due to our weight, which I told you guys was going to be a key thing in for this race, and we'll see how it affects us even more later on. But at this point, we were just wanting to hold this position or potentially trying to move ahead, as we were wanting to pit in the next couple of laps. But now we're going to skip a lap forward, as nothing else really happened in the second lap, and the gap between the karts and us basically stayed in the same, and we were going to come into the pits this lap, so we were all ready and we are wanting to get a quick and fast pit stop done here. So as we come around the first corner, we're back onto the straight, where we just have to come around this left-hander here, put our hand up and come straight into the pit lane, where we have to slow down before this bit here for a 5 mile per hour speed limit so we don't get penalised. And if you get this stop done very quickly, actually it's not too bad of a lap time, just as how much of the track you cut off through the pit lane here. But with James waiting here, we were able to get a nice quick easy stop, except for us potentially even bumping into each other there. So James was off for a quick 1 lap to get 1 stop done, and we were back into the kart for a rest of our 45-minute stint, where we actually come back onto track straight behind the people we were just before, but this time they have come to lap us, but we have got 2 stops in advantage to them. But this is also where our first problem in the race came in.
The race was going fine so far until I came to the quality, and when I went on the front of the comms, they went completely flat. So the track was doing all right, it's holding a good time, but it's a little bit hard on the track because you need to be pressing comms. And I don't know if he's got it yet, but I've got the headset in pairing mode, so I'm just hoping for that. As soon as I'm on the button, that I can get to it. So far he's really pretty good. We are in 10th right now with about 20 minutes done of the race, so I'm
So yeah, hopefully you could hear there what James was saying, but basically what had happened when he was taking off his helmet, he must have pressed the comm system and changed channel, which was very annoying, as I also didn't tell him which channel we were on because I didn't think something like this was going to happen. So basically for my whole of my first stint, I had no comms with James. I had no idea where I was. I had no idea what times I was setting and who was coming up behind me. It was a pain, but I only knew that I just had to keep going and setting in the fastest lap times I could without even knowing. But yeah, I had to do whatever I could to try and keep us in this race, and that was not helped by the fact that some of the back markers were holding me up quite a lot, as you could see with this back marker here, where I'm coming behind him trying to make a move, knowing he was going to brake early into this chicane. He goes absolutely wide and slams right into me. I mean, I kind of hit him, but he just came fully across me and then tries to take back the position, which was kind of very annoying, as you can see through my arm movement there. But luckily he goes really wide at the next turn and I'm back past him, but the person behind me is right on me now, so I'm telling them to work with me, as we just need to get along in this race and get forward, as it's only about 20 minutes into my stint right now. And then in this clip you can kind of see me tapping on my side of my helmet, trying to tell James what channel it is to change to get him to keep speaking to me, and I do this for a couple laps, but sadly he's just not looking. He's trying to sort out the headset. It's completely, you just need to press one button, the right channel, and he'll get it, but sadly he doesn't know what it is. So I just continue carrying on and getting past some back markers where I come across the same one, but luckily we take the approach a lot easier this time. And at this point I'm seeing someone behind me, so I start to potentially start a defensive line, as I have no clue if this is someone coming to lap me or it's a race for position. But as you're going to see soon, we have a huge disadvantage to this kart behind, so I desperately tried to get past this back marker to try and put a kart in between both of us to give me some more time, where I'm just able to get past him at the top of the hairpin, squeezing past him here, but we're alongside and luckily he lets me pass though. But that's not good for us, as it means the kart behind is right on our tail now. Where on this straight I see this, so I take a defensive line into the chicane to try and hold off my position, where I go in for the right hand and for the left hand, getting a pretty good exit. But as you can see here, they just come flying past me. They're alongside me here, which is absolutely insane. Come flying past downwards, get a better exit than them here, and then you're going to see them absolutely breeze past me here. I mean, look at the speed they're having, and it's all just because they're so much lighter than me, which is very, very annoying. Because with anyone else I would potentially be able to make a move there, but with them they were just able to get alongside me, and look, I just get a better exit and they just keep pulling away. Look how much they pull away there. It is insane. And you can even see this better in the next corner where they go wide. I'm in there inside, but yeah, they just have a much better acceleration. It's insane. I even try and show it in my hands, and yeah, you just know that yeah, let's just say I was quite annoyed at this, just because I just had no hope of catching this person whatsoever. So I really do wish, hopefully in the future, Brighton can put in a weight limit for these races, because it would just make the race so much more enjoyable. But this grid was also actually a lot more competitive than I thought, as lots of people were holding me up and I was getting stuck behind them. So yeah, it was pretty annoying, but luckily I was able to get some moves past. But yeah, as you can see with this back marker here, trying to get past at any point, but they were just holding me behind them for quite a few corners, but luckily I was able to get past them right here. But as I come across to lap another person, it was getting towards the end of my stint and ready for the start of James's.
Alright, so resetting the comms did not work at all. It hasn't worked. So Callum's coming to the end of his stint, so while he's doing the driving thing, I'm just going to say to him, press on the E button to make sure the comms are there. I don't know why, comms would really work nicely right now, but I need to get him in, so I'm going to use the board, because obviously we don't have comms. But yeah, I'm sure you'll see how I do. Probably not very well, but let's just see how it goes.
So before James was going out, we were currently P6, which was good because we haven't lost any positions since where we started. And James is also luckily able to pull me in with the board that they use at Brighton. So as you can see here, I come in and it says come in 3, so I know when to pit now, and James is all ready without us even having to have our comms connected. So I come in for our third stop, meaning we only have one left to do after this, which is really good, seeming as we still have 1 hour 15 minutes to go left of this race. And now as I'm coming into the pits, I see James, and when I jump out the car, he tells me to switch the comms to channel E, which I think could work, but I don't think that's how the headset sadly works. So he's telling me, and I'm like, I tried to do it, but sadly it still doesn't work. But there's now an even bigger problem on our hands, as rain is now forecasted in the next couple of minutes. But James had to do what he could, and he was just focusing on getting the best lap times possible, where he was setting around 44.5 second lap times on average, between 45 seconds. That was just absolutely insane for him, only coming to this track in the wet beforehand. And then, as I was figuring out how I did to try and sort out our comms, I was going through my comm system, and it randomly connected to James's comms, which was absolutely insane, and was great as James had just come off.
Okay, so I just got done with my half-hour stint, and during the stint, I don't know if Callum updated you, but he got comms working, and there was a lot of, I'm seeing rain on the track, it's light in basically all areas, I'm seeing mostly in him, and yeah, he got comms working, so I now have comms to Callum for the last 45 minutes of the race, so yeah, I'll keep you updated. Okay, so lucky for us, because Callum is our rain specialist, it has just started coming down ever so slightly, so we're getting a few drops of rain around the track, you can see that, so we're just starting to get a little bit of rain, there's Callum now, just taking the track, so hopefully rain will pick up and we can gain an advantage on some of the drivers that are less confident in the rain, so wish us luck.
So like James has said, the rain was coming down, as you can see by the footage here, which is absolutely in our favour, as previously in the last two endurance races that we've done at Brighton, they've all been wet, so I've got a ton of wet practice at it, and I've seemed to be the best person at all times when I'm there. So I knew this is where we had to focus at most, because this would be where we could gain back a lot of time on the drivers that were a lot more lighter than us. And as I came towards back markers, I knew I had to make the moves as quick as possible, as in the rain it's extremely hard to get past drivers, especially when they're on the racing line, because there's not much good places to overtake, as if you go off the racing line in the wets, then you're absolutely losing a ton of lap time. But the rain was just coming down and down, making the track super slippy, as you can see here, with everyone taking it very precautiously, but I was able to thread through the pack and hopefully get the fastest lap times. And a lot more people were starting to spin out and lose control of the conditions, so I just had to make my way do. As you can see there, getting through that back marker, I was just trying to go as quickly as possible, because I knew I was gaining so much time on the leaders and the karts in front of us at this time in the race.
Okay, now that we're getting more into the race, we have around 30 minutes left, and the rain is really starting to pick up now, so Callum's starting to arrive, other races are starting to drop off in terms of timings, but we're going to see what we can do. Right now we're sitting quite steadily in ninth, Gaffney's like at the side, so we're just going to see what we can do.
And that's right, we were just going to see what we could do, as I was just catching the people in front so quickly, and I was hopefully potentially going to make up a lot more positions by the end of this race. But even with me quickly catching the drivers in front, some still showed to be a pain, as you can see with this back marker coming up here, where I just couldn't get past because he was all over the right lines where I wanted to be on the wet race, and it's just so hard to go into a different line if you're on a wet track. But luckily this one here wasn't that slow, so I was able to still gain a lot of time on the leaders during these laps, but they were still holding me up, so I had to try and go past as quick as possible, losing time there from bumping him through. But luckily this was a part of the track where I was really good at in the wet, so I was able to close in a lot on him here, where I then had to just tuck in behind him and try and get to a good position here. But you go left, go around the outside to get all the grip on the outside, where I got a better exit than him, so I could get even more speed coming up this ramp here, and I sent it down the inside, just getting the move done. Luckily I'm going even forward. But sadly as well, this is where my camera died, so we had to go onto the off-board footage.
Okay, with rain picking up on track, most of the drivers are slipping ever so slightly with their lap times, which is leading Callum to currently be the fastest on track for Ingalileo Racing. So there you go. I mean, very slightly at the moment, but a second ago he was definitely fastest on track, and I think he still is. So, I don't know. We're doing well, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to get top 5 for the last bit. It definitely isn't, but I don't know, we'll see what we can do. Right, here you can see Callum being fastest on track again, so we're picking up the pace while the other drivers are starting to slip. So there you go.
So as you can see, I was even sometimes a second quicker than all the karts on the track, so I was absolutely flying through. But we still had a huge gap until P5, which is where we wanted to try and aim to finish, which would be an absolutely insane goal, seeing as there was only about 20 minutes left of the race at this point. But as I made my way through, we were catching P6 at an incredible rate, sometimes even 4 seconds a lap, which was absolutely insane. And now we're right on their tail going in towards the straight, where they're going on a defensive line to try and keep us behind, but that heavy favours us as we get a better exit around these corners and get a better line. But they're holding on as hard as they can, as they really want to keep this position, which we really want to go past, as this is where we started and we want to try and gain on where we started. But around the corner we were potentially just about to get the inside line, where we just had a tiny bit of our nose in, which could give us what we need to get past, but we were just trying and struggling to get past this driver here, where I then had an amazing exit coming around the outside with the driver knowing I was there, and the driver just absolutely pushed me into the barrier, where I had probably one of the biggest crashes, if not the biggest crash I've ever had in karting. And I'm very annoyed that my camera didn't record this, because they blamed it on me basically, and saying how I was on the outside, they had no room, but I'm on the outside, how can I have no room? And yeah, it was just a very big crash, but luckily they got a black flag. Where here he is serving the black flag. As you can see, he is complaining to the marshal, which is kind of unbelievable, as it was completely his fault. But yeah, the marshals knew it was, and they just weren't really listening to any of it. But unfortunately, he actually came back out in front of us, so it was going to be a hard one to get past him again.
Okay, so on our way to 6th position, we got crashed out by person in 6th place. And he gets black flags because it was pretty heavy. Callum ended up in the barrier and it took him a while to get out. So he's now battling him, as you can see from that footage. But I don't know if we'll be able to take it back. We're down in 8th right now, so it's looking interesting.
So yeah, as you can hear from James, we're in 8th place, so it would be a very big clawback if we wanted to get this 6th position. And they were still battling so hard, even after getting a black flag, they were still battling so much, even though they as well knew that we were a lot quicker than them. I mean, I guess it's 4th position, but after doing that big of a heavy crash, it is insane that they were still battling so much. But I knew I was faster, so I just had to try and work my way around them, where I eventually got alongside them going into this, tried to go for the switchback here. And yeah, I was just doing anything I could to try and get past them, but it's so hard to when you're in the wet. But then finally I get past, and sadly we don't record it, but yeah, finally we get past them, and now I just push as much as I can, as P6 is not far down the road. Which you can see here, if we skip 5 minutes forward, the driver in the Lewis Hamilton style helmet is in 6th place, and we're closing in behind them very, very quickly.
Oh, come on, Callum, come on, you got that.
And we got it done, getting past back into 6th place where we started this race. And with only 5 minutes left of the race, I could see 5th in our eyes, so I kept going as fast as I could to see if we could get them. Alright, basically on the last lap of the race, so we're getting to the last lap of the race, Callum has gained one more position after that, leaving him in 7th. So we gained some positions back. It probably would have been better if we didn't get crashed out. I mean, it definitely would have been better, but we'll take what we could get at this point, because it wasn't good. But as we come around the final few corners, we tried our best, but we were unable to get that 5th position. But we had amazing comeback after that insanely big crash, and yeah, I absolutely was in pain after that. And now as we come into the pit lane, all of my adrenaline has gone, so you can see me holding the side of my hip because it really had a big bruise there. And yeah, we were finished in a nice position though. Would have wanted more, but it was a great place to end off. And as you can see here, you can also see the driver being talked to again, and they were still blaming me, but it's absolutely insane. So I just hope you guys don't drive like that. And James even said that it was dangerous, but he was like pushing him in a way, and it was just insane. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and if you want to see more, just check out one of these videos here, and please make sure to like and subscribe.